Campaigners say undercover police officers who infiltrated their movement in the 1970s were on the wrong side of history. Earlier this year, 3 campaigners had their historical convictions quashed after revelations that the police acted wrongfully. Julia Chapman has been speaking to some of those affected.
Half a century ago, Jonathan Rosenhead was arrested. An anti-apartheid campaigner, he had been protesting to stop Britain's rugby team travelling to South Africa.
We surrounded the bus and sat on the ground, but we'd also brought a couple of cars which helped to block the way out, and we'd ordered a skip, and the skip got delivered at exactly the right time. This big lorry with the skip was manoeuvring while the coach was trying to get out. So it was a bit of a peaceful fracas.
14 people were arrested for obstruction. But the incident turned out to be part of something much bigger. It was one of the early examples of what would later be revealed as widespread undercover policing in left-wing groups. In Rosenhead's case, it was more than just surveillance.
One of the 14 or 15 who were convicted was an undercover policeman. And he had been charged, prosecuted, and convicted under his fake name. And not only that, as one of the defendants, he had sat with us as we talked with our lawyer about what our defence was.
Rosenhead calls that an abuse of process. He only learned about the undercover officer in 2021, once an inquiry was underway. So he and 2 of his fellow protesters appealed their decades-old convictions. The Criminal Cases Review Commission argued that the officer had breached confidentiality between lawyers and their defendants. Prosecutors originally argued that there had been no miscarriage of justice, but ultimately they didn't challenge the appeal and the court overturned the ruling. Former anti-apartheid campaigners say the case unveiled how far the regime had extended its influence.
The police, working hand in hand with South African apartheid agents based here in London, and this is what is so unacceptable about it. We're actually in my front living room, posing as one of the activists, following me around, being at every meeting that I was attending, and we knew that the apartheid security services were working hand in glove with the British intelligence services and with the police here, but the extent of that is quite revealing.
London's police force says it is assisting the inquiry into undercover operations, which is still ongoing. The officer in question has given evidence, but his real identity remains a secret. But for 3 anti-apartheid campaigners arrested in this car park in 1972, there has been some justice. When they receive their compensation, they're planning a dinner at the hotel where the story began. Julia Chapman, London.
Oh, thanks to